With the rise of games like Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, Konami has officially made their own Yu-Gi-Oh! Simulator. It's the closest thing to an actual digital version of Yu-Gi-Oh! That we have. And it's not a simple simulation like Duel Links. It's pretty much full-fledged Yu-Gi-Oh! And this is a big deal since it's something that many fans have wanted for a long time. So much so that other apps like YGO Pro and Dueling Book have been created by the community in order to act as full-fledged Yu-Gi-Oh! But now that we have something like Master Duel, what does this mean for the future of indie Yu-Gi-Oh! Simulator apps like Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro? My short answer is, it doesn't look very good, and I think these indie Yu-Gi-Oh! Apps may be living on borrowed time since Konami is extremely litigious. And I know this firsthand because Konami pretty much instantly claimed my video on Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. The video had some clips from Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel's trailer, and Konami immediately caught wind of it. And they're especially like this when it comes to people using clips from their Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime shows. So it goes to say that Konami is extremely protective of their intellectual properties to the point that they're just overbearing. So it goes to say that Konami is probably going to apply this same or similar approach to third-party Yu-Gi-Oh! Simulators. And this makes sense, since these apps are technically competition with Master Duel. And they're really tough competition at that, since things like Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro are pretty much free. Konami would have every incentive to take something like Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro down, since it does potentially conflict with Master Duel's financial success. And especially since something like Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro is free. Once something is free, a lot of people are used to not paying for the service, since they've simply had access to it for a long time. And it makes sense why Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, Dueling Book, and Dawn of a New Era have such targets on their backs. They're just a product, or I guess a service in this case, that Konami just doesn't want to compete against. So I see why Konami is so litigious to begin with. If Konami wants to make their own official simulator like they have, they're going to have a much harder time making things like Master Duel a success if they have to compete against a free version of their own intellectual property. And although I understand Konami wanting to protect their intellectual properties, I hope Konami approaches these third-party apps constructively. And what I mean is, I hope Konami doesn't just go scorched earth approach, where they just DMCA or just do a takedown on these third-party apps. What I hope to see is, I hope to see Konami actually reaching out to these third-party developers and they actually come to a mutual understanding over the negotiations of how they should approach these apps. So I'm hoping that they strike a deal with these developers since it's a passion project. And what I'm saying is, I hope that Konami can work out some kind of deal to allow these third-party Yu-Gi-Oh! Simulators to stay up. Because I know it's only a matter of time of if and when they discover apps like Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro. And I can only hope that Konami understands that these are fans that are trying to show love and appreciation to the point that they want to make their own kind of simulator for the community. And I'm hoping that Konami doesn't coldly just see these developers as pirates that are just looking to infringe on their copyright. Konami needs to realize that these are fans, and they just want to help foster the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community that Konami created at large. Optically speaking, it would just be terrible for Konami to just take down these Yu-Gi-Oh! Simulators, since it would basically burn the bridge between Konami and the fans. Now, Konami is legally in the right here, but they have to understand that just being brutal and killing off fan games like this is the perfect way to push people away from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community. So, before I talk in circles, I hope Konami can be a little more diplomatic, where they actually are able to strike some sort of licensing agreement with these developers of these fan games, instead of just striking them down. And I think this will give Konami a lot more of a positive image in the eyes of the community. And I think it's something that Konami desperately needs, in my opinion. But with that pretty much wraps it up for this video. If you would like to support more content like this, you can do so via donation on my Cash App. I need to resolve some issues with my Patreon, but I still post on there, and you can still catch my content on that same page. But for the meantime, you can help me out on Cash App by finding me at the Necromancer1040 Cash App tag. And with that, thank you so much for watching, thank you so much for your support, and I'll catch you in the next video. Alright, take care.